Welcome to the Kortex Media Podcast, Marketing Accelerator, your compass for navigating the dynamic world of marketing and business growth. I'm Corson Schmidt, founder of Kortex Media. Our mission is to equip marketing agencies with the custom growth solutions they need to unlock massive revenue increases and scale their business. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today, we're diving deep into the world of e-commerce and marketplace mastery with a true innovator, Will Hare. Will, co-founder and CEO of BellaVix, and brings 15 years of experience starting from humble beginnings in SEO and retail arbitrage, together with his wife, who brings merchandising and logistics expertise. Will and his wife built BellaVix together into a remote-first agency that has helped brands generate over $500 million in marketplace sales. They partner with giants like P&G, Instant Pot, and Corel. Will, welcome to the show.
Corson, thanks for having me, man. Excited. And I think we could cut it there. Just clip it. I'm going to use that for all my marketing material.
No, go ahead. This whole thing, you'll get a full recording for yourself and use as much as you can, because at the end of the day, I want you to speak as much value as you can for my audience so they can pick up some little tips. And you might as well take those scenes and share it as well. But I want to start with the beginning of the BellaVix journey. So when we were speaking and from the information I've got from you, BellaVix began as a way to fund the jewelry line for your wife. And somehow you mixed in consulting, advertising, marketing, SEO, and that became your calling and led you from a 5 to 9 into your now 9 to 5. You mind telling us a little bit about BellaVix, who you guys are, and what your core services are today, so the audience can just get to know you, get to know BellaVix a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a boutique agency, and we're hyper-focused on marketplace growth, and we primarily operate on Amazon and Walmart. And our services is end-to-end service. So we do everything from operations, logistics, merchandising, cataloging, to search engine optimization, promotional strategies, pricing strategies, to advertising, your typical pay-per-click, your programmatic, your DSP, and then your streaming TV, that top of the funnel, beautiful commercials on connected TV and own and operator properties. And it's been a journey to get there for sure. But that's our current line of services, and we choose to be really niche. Instead of being everything to everyone, we are a premier partner to help brands grow. And we've been really fortunate. Like you mentioned, we've generated a lot of sales for our business, but we're also in the service provider network. We're pre-vetted out by both marketplaces, and we have the ability to kind of work with most type brands that are trying to achieve some level of growth.
Amazing. I want to hear a little bit more about your process with you guys being a growth-led agency, working with these companies to help them get the direction they want to go, right? And working with them as a partner almost to get them towards that North Star. You mind sharing us a quick case study or example on how you guys have helped a specific client get the specific result they were looking for and the growth that they were looking for as a company?
Definitely. Yeah. So like an example, early on, we worked with a brand called Derma-E. Derma-E is a large brand. They do really well online, but they're also in brick and mortar retail here in the United States. They're in your Targets, Sephora's, Ulta's. They're all over the place, and it's natural. It's affordable, natural beauty. So it's a market that's kind of for every woman, but it's also very specific for people who care about what they put on their skin. And when we began to work with them, they were purchased by a private equity company, and my point of contact was put in charge, and kind of we were brought in to help with advertising. And so when we initially took on this account, there's like fundamental to advertising, and I'm not going to get too much into the nit and gritty, but the infrastructure was pretty much cashing in on their brand equity. So they hit a point of stagnation and growth. These guys are doing about $250,000 a month. Typically, for most brands, we see this like around $100,000, but they had people knew who they were. They were searching their names. So there are some of the metrics we use around advertising cost of sale, or total advertising cost of sale, or even ROAS, return on your ad investment. They look great. These guys were like 10 to 1 for every dollar invested. But when you actually look at the numbers, they were just buying back existing customers, and they were paying a lot of money to rebuy these customers. And so when we came in, part of it was educating on the funnel and saying, hey, Amazon shoppers may or may not know your brand, but understanding who's in market, how do they search, and then what are those indicators that would help us understand when we need to do ad placements in order to drive awareness and traffic. And so initially it was cleaning up the pay-per-click campaigns and starting to acquire customers who maybe don't know the Derma E brand, but also managing expectations on like what that impact is to their bottom line and understanding the difference between a cost per acquisition for a branded customer versus a non-branded customer was a bit of the education. And it went really well. And then we ended up layering programmatic advertising. So we saturated the bottom of the funnel. We were capturing people searching for these specific products. And then we decided, okay, let's get these audiences based on like behavioral. So they're clicking our listings, not making a purchase, or demographic. So they're like, they're a female between the ages of 30 and 50. They're active. They're like, there's all these indicators we're able to pull on through some back end data. And so we ended up starting to build audiences. And in the long term, we ended up increasing their sales. This brand became an 8-figure brand under our watch. And a lot of it came down to like proper targeting and then building these audiences over time. And we can't take full credit for it. Marketing, and it's an omni-channel thing. So while we were doing this, our point of contact was getting deeper on social media. They were getting more dermatologists involved because it's a doctor-backed science. They were getting into more B2B. So like, yes, we help scale the sales, but that's like a very like siloed vision of what actually happened. We were a piece of that puzzle that we were able to execute really well. There were a lot of other things layered on that weren't things we were doing that helped lead to that growth. And we ended up working with that brand for like 40 years before my person moved on to a new job. The next guy came in and they had their own agency, which is like, it's kind of happens in the marketing world. Sometimes you do great work, but you know a guy and this guy's so much better. And they came in, they took it over, and I'm sure they're still doing great, but that was our experience. And that's an example of like pushing for growth and like kind of what the challenge was, what we identified, and how we layered in a bit of like a full funnel strategy to help them hit their targets.
Yeah, that's a great story. And you guys kind of broke it down into where exactly they needed help instead of just putting a Band-Aid over it, right? You guys sat down, you broke it down, you broke down the strategy and saw where they actually needed to fill gaps to bring in client retention, because that was one of the biggest things, like you said, they were doing. They were spending money on attracting the clients they already had, which is burning a hole in your pocket at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
So it's a great story, and it's a great example on how you guys differentiate yourselves in a market and show that you guys go through that full funnel and go through the full approach and grow with the company. You guys are basically invested with this company and stepping forward with them. And client, like back to client retention, it's one of the most important things right now because trust is such an important factor. And if you're working with a company and they trust you and they see that you're doing good work, they're going to keep coming back. And it's a very important aspect because there is such a lack of trust, because there's so many that guarantee results and never get them, or something doesn't work out. And I mean, marketing is a tough industry, right? Like you could try something for one company and they could be the exact same company. It works great for one, but not the other. And it's just the way of marketing, right? And the way of testing.
And there's a lot of dynamics that go into it too. The cultural aspect of it too. Like, we have just as many failures as we do wins. And my point of contact went over to another beauty brand of the private equity. And they brought us on, and we weren't able to deliver the same level of success. And it wasn't for lack of trying, but in the new company she worked with, the team we worked with was just very, just not very supportive, and it was a lot of pointing fingers, and it ended up not being a good relationship for us. And the term ended right when our term contract ended, and she didn't have a good experience, and we didn't have a good experience. So it's to your point, we have as many wins as we have losses. This is part of learning. It's the ecosystem. But like in this scenario, I made my POC look like a rock star. In that scenario, we didn't jive as a team, just cultural differences, how their systems were set up and how we engaged them, just it didn't align. And then there was missed expectations, miscommunications, miscues, and it ended up being a not very good relationship, and we ended up losing that client. So it goes both ways. But when I do talk to other agency owners, I like to frame it as like my client success is my oxygen. So like without happy clients, without doing the work, like I don't have a business. I'm not able to live the lifestyle I'm able to live and provide the what I'm able to provide. So like, the not that the customer is always right, and you have to hold firm if you're ever going to grow and avoid scope creep and all that other stuff, but like their success matters, and it does lead to more business and more opportunities and bigger brands. But there's so much that goes into it, so many dynamics that it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it's a great point that you made there, and I love these conversations. And I mean, trust has always been a little bit of skepticism in this industry, because I mean, there's a lot of people that know what they're doing. There's a lot of people that maybe don't know what they're doing, or maybe just getting started. And it is tough, and some people are great in one aspect, but they try to take on another project, and it just makes it's a tough industry to excel in and to compete in, because there's so much competition. But as long as you are out there being honest with your clients, they're gonna keep coming back. And even if you're not getting the results, that's one of the biggest things that I like what you said there, Will, is that you have as many losses as you have wins. Yeah. And just being honest about that. And because we're human at the end of the day. We're going to make mistakes. Yeah. We're not always going to get the results that we said we were going to get. And that's part of life. It's part of living. It's part of moving forward and learning, like you said. So it's a tough world to be in, and just embrace it and learn and move forward with it. So I just wanted to
I think what's really tough about our industry too, it's like if you think about barriers to entry, anybody could say they're a Google Ads expert. Anybody could say they do an Amazon ads. My first SEO client, I've never done SEO before. Like way back, like 2012 or whatever it was. Gee, I don't want to put a date on it. A long time ago. My first SEO client, I read a bunch of books. I pumped their stuff through a software, and there were a couple of plumbers. They were easily fooled, if you will. And I faked it till I made it. But like as a result, I got to learn a lot. I got that opportunity, and I tried really hard. And that plumber we actually worked with for a couple years. It was from a previous job that I was at. But it is important to be honest and transparent. But I also get how when you're new to it and you're just like, I'm hungry, I want work. I want to learn this. That sometimes you're like, I do this all the time. I got this. And then you get your hands on, you're like, holy crap, now I got to figure this out.
Yeah. And it's just part of business, part of learning, moving forward. And you might as well learn on someone else's dollar. I mean, from a business aspect, you might as well learn. And you're probably, if you are just starting out, you probably have way more drive than anyone else that's been in the industry for a while. You're going to figure out what works, especially at this moment, because what works today does not work tomorrow. So you will do as much research as you can to figure out what works tomorrow so you can get the results. So that's another great point that you brought up. Now I want to go into, because that was an amazing story that you spoke about there, Will, and I want to go into more of a lead generation client acquisition part. How do you guys find, because this is a big question I like to ask, and everyone has their own way of doing it within an agency. How do you guys find great clients like that you guys work with, that want to grow, that have this North Star to reach, and they come to BellaVix to get that goal? How do you find them or reach out to them, and what seems to be the go-to method today?
Well, first you work with a bunch of clients that you don't like, and you're like, wow, I don't want to work with people like that. So experience is part of it, to be honest with you. My story might be a little different because I was working at agencies as an advertiser before. So when I put in my notice and drop my note on LinkedIn, like, hey, I'm starting an agency, my first 9 clients were people I worked with in the past. And that was enough to get me to leave the job full time and have revenue coming in. So if I was like right out of college, for example, it maybe wouldn't have worked that way, and it might have been a little different. But in terms of lead generation, I'm kind of hinting at it. It's like work with as many people as you can if you're getting started. If you're already an agency already running, you should know who your ideal customer profile is, and you should have like two or three of them.
Hmm.
So, for example, in my case, I kind of have my profiles kind of memorized. My first profile are veterinarians and doctors. So we do really well with products that are veterinary or doctor backed, and it's
Okay.
just we got a lot of experience with those clients. We know how to position those products. So, like, I know that that avatar is somebody who likely runs some type of office. They figured out they were selling their products to, they made the product to help because there wasn't anything on the market, their customer base. And then they're like, what else can I do with this? I'll throw it on Amazon. They're referring friends. All of a sudden they have some sales velocity and they're like, crap, now what? I don't have time to do the office and manage my Amazon. And then that's kind of where we come in. Another profile, we work with a lot of private equity companies. So we know that PE companies look at sales and look at marketing and they look at their businesses a lot different than that doctor backed business.
Hmm.
More matter of fact, more top line growth, and they're more aggressive in advertising. So the language and how we position our brand to somebody in the private equity world is going to be different than that veterinary. And then last but not least, mission driven brands. We love brand owners that are like passionate
Hmm.
about what they're solving and what they're doing. So like that mold, I'm working with owners, or the owner has grown large enough that they might have a marketing person, and I kind of know. So like those are my three avatars, and so what we've been able to do through lead generation over time is through content creation. So like I don't remember who I got this from, but it was a while ago. It was like give away the information and sell the implementation. So like
Hmm.
a lot of my SOPs, a lot of our secret sauce, it's out there. It's on my
Yeah.
blog. Go check it out. Any question you have, like we've do this a long time. We've solved it and it's on there. But I'm to the point now that I know I put out content twice a week, not including news and updates that help sellers, but like pointed content on like how to solve this specific problem that I know these problems because I know my ICP and they told me what their problems are. I just turned it into content. I'll know they'll digest anywhere from 3 to 5 pieces of content before they submit a form. And I also know that if my content, the brands on my website are positioned more towards a premium brand. I don't work well with startups. I don't work, if you are pretty much under $5 million in gross revenue, we're going to be too expensive and we're not a good fit. So the brands I reference, how I talk to clients, the full funnel strategies, like all that stuff is geared towards a brand that is within that range and I'm solving their very specific problems. So for us, SEO and content creation, LinkedIn, it's what drives our business. We really don't do any advertising. I've experimented with outbound, but outbound has sucked for us. To be honest with you, like cold emails, cold calls. When you are going to somebody asking them for business, it's a different position than when they come to me and they're asking for help
Yeah.
because they read my stuff, because they know me on LinkedIn, and it gives me authority and power. Now I can control the price. I've already established myself as an expert. I don't have to prove it to who I'm talking to. They know I'm the expert. They read my stuff. They know who I am. So like the inbound lead generation is way better. How do we
Hmm.
get there? I've been blogging since day one. My team blogs as part of the job. Every quarter, everybody's responsible to write a blog article. I don't let them pick whatever they want. I interview our clients. I go through Hrefs and I understand what people are searching. I also look at the trends and see what people are doing. And then I assign them based on their role something to write about. Now we have a ghostwriter and they do more like interview style, which helps out a lot. So the team's not investing as much actually writing. But at this point, I have like 700 articles posted on anything you
Wow.
could think of from Amazon and Walmart. I'm well indexed on search. AI, not a problem. They're already indexing my stuff. I'm getting leads from people that are like, you're not going to believe this. I found you on Gemini. And I'm always like, no, I can't believe it. I can believe it, dude. I worked my ass off for like 7 years. Like, you better be finding my stuff on AI. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, that has been what's led us to get the leads. And then the other side of that is like, how do you close them? And that is a different art, especially if you're like a marketing background and learning sales. There's a lot that goes into my approach is like consultative sales.
Mm.
So I have them fill out a discovery form. They tell me all their problems. I've been doing this a while. So I'm like, great. I know how to talk to this. And then when I get on the call, it's like, hey, we got 30 minutes. Tell me about your business, your story, like try to get rapport and connection. And then it's like, let me help you solve this problem on the phone if we can, and dive deeper. And what I'm showing them is like, we could fix this. We've done this a bunch of times. Don't worry about it. Give
Yeah.
me the opportunity. Let me show you what we can do.
Yeah. And that's similar to what you guys do in your content creation as well, is showing them what to do, but then people will try or look into it, or they don't have, a lot of companies don't have the time to actually do that. So they come be reach back out because they know you're the expert in it, and they get your help implementing it or whatever else they're doing. So those are two great tactics, and we're seeing it a lot in the LinkedIn world just for posts, but it's the best way to do it. Like, why wouldn't you? If you have the expertise and you can share knowledge and you can help people, and if they want to hear more about your help and how you do it, great, we can get on a call, we can discuss that and move forward. So and I love how it all starts with a foundation from SEO, because I mean, it's a weird landscape right now, but a lot of, like, I just had a podcast this morning again, with a gentleman who is very educated in the SEO and GEO world, and he says the same thing. Like, it's going to be the same. SEO is going to be the same. It's still going to take data from your website. It's just going to put them into these LLMs because everyone's going to be using them. So it's not the landscape. It isn't going to be changed that much. Just continue what you're doing and create good blogs, create good backlinks in your website. And in my opinion, you're going to get good results through the SEO that way, especially if you're early in it too.
Yeah, people will pick it up. I've been syndicated on, we've been featured in New York Times. I'm on Modern Retail. It's like, they find the information and they're just like, can we source this? It's like, yes, you can. Thank you very much. But it's a lesson for anybody. It's like, if you run an agency and you're no longer an operator and you're trying to grow sales and marketing, you're a media company. When I hired our first sales consultant to help us like implement HubSpot and put a CRM in place, she looked at my business model, and on the first day, she's like, "Oh, you're a media company. You're a content syndicator." I'm like, "No, we're not. We're a marketing agency." And she's like, "No, you're not." And then she schooled me on that. And then from there, we were able to kind of like start putting pieces in place and then understand the power of content. I originally made the team write it as a way for them to stay educated on everything that's changing. And then it morphed into like, now it's just a content system that everybody contributes to.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Looking ahead in this,
a lot on the marketing side, so it's hard not to get passionate about it.
Yeah, exactly. And you run a small team as well. You run a very boutique agency, like you said, but you run a very lean, small team. And I mean, everyone's going to be engaged in your projects if you are running a small team like yourself. And I'm assuming you guys are very agile. Everyone is very educated. Everyone knows their role very well, and everyone's still learning and growing with BellaVix at the same time, which is, I mean, I'm just assuming, and I'll ask you the question, is that how your agency runs? But if it is, I love how you're running your agency, because people are growing with you. You're growing with people. People are learning. Your employees are learning. And they're more invested in your clients because they're working with probably the same person every day on most projects.
Yeah, small. So we have 15 full-time employees, which we're blessed. That's a great number, and it's intentional. Early on, you try to be everything to everyone and sales at all costs. What I've learned and how come we pivoted to this model, and for a perfect example, we're in October, right? I've exceeded my sales quota. From here until January, I'm not really taking on brands, and if I take on brands, I'm replacing brands that aren't aligned with our ICP.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the name of the game is we're focusing on processing and figuring out how we're going to level up the team and our services. So like, what's nice about being boutique is like, we deliver results, and we're very conscious of like the effort that we put in and like our perception in the market. But because I'm not just trying to get sales at all costs, and I'm not taking on everybody, I'm able to be pretty comfortable, and I'm able to say like, this is our ICP. I can help this guy, and it's going to work out really well. So let's take them on. And so as a result, we're really blessed. It gives us a chance to like focus. What I found earlier when it was just like sales at all costs, and I get it too, like sales at all costs was like at a necessity. It's like there was just a few of us. I had to cover payroll. You don't know what you're doing. And in the early days too, like I made the mistakes of like, hey, can you do social media? Sure can. Throw it on. Don't know how to price it. Don't know anything about it, but we'll figure it out. And then they have a bad experience. And then you're like, and then the team doesn't know what they're doing. So then it takes them time to learn these things. So like this way allows us to control our growth, but also to maintain consistency and cohesion. So when you work with BellaVix, for example, you can work with anybody on the team and you're going to have a pretty consistent experience from manager to manager, from team to team, because we put this effort in, because we sit back and we're like, okay, where are their gaps? How is person A communicating that person B isn't? What are things we can put in place to make sure that we're giving world-class experiences? And so like our mission, we grow brands on marketplaces. Our vision, we do this through hiring world-class people, delivering world-class service. And so we take that vision seriously, and this model allows me to be able to reflect and like help the team level up. I like to tell people, as an owner, it's not that I want to be on top of the mountain, is I live in the valley and I sit there and I push my team to the top of the mountain. And as the owner, everything that rolls down is what I have to deal with because they don't know how to, or they don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to deal with all those while allowing my team to elevate to the top of the mountain. So
Wow.
I'm just a Sherpa.
That's a great reference actually, and I love that. You should patent
Thanks,
that,
man.
put it on your personal website or something. Be like, this is me. I'm at the bottom. This is my team.
Yeah.
Elevating every day. No, that's awesome. And
Thanks, man.
I want to move this conversation more. I mean, we can't miss it. AI is one of the biggest trends within
Yeah.
marketing agencies as a whole, right? So we can't really skip over this conversation. But there's so many different ways you can use AI. There's automation, there's LLMs, there's efficiencies, there's a lot of AI out there, and it's changing every day. The landscape's changing, the industry is changing very rapidly. How are you guys leveraging it to create these efficiencies within your company, leveraging it to for whatever you guys are doing? How is it help? How is it benefiting you guys? How are you guys using it to, whether it be scale, become more efficient, or help out your clients in general?
All the above. So it allows us to do more with less, to be honest with you. So like my operations team could tell you like the nit and gritty of how they're using it to service clients. But in general, how we look at it, from my level where I'm looking at efficiencies operationally is like we're able to do more with less.
Yeah.
Communication's more efficient. We use offshore talent like a lot of agencies do. It helps us be competitive in terms of pricing for our customers. And so as a result, in the past, English as a second language, generally we wouldn't want them communicating directly with clients due to like just the nature of like, does this person know what he's talking about if he can't spell? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But because now we have AI, it's like they can be in Slack channel with clients, for example. They don't have to wait for the project manager to like read, understand the situation, reply to the client. They're able to like, oh, I know what's going on. Let me type this in my language to the best of my ability. And then, translate it to, they all speak English, but translate it so that it's business professional and actually like engage with some of these clients. So it's helped there. In terms of processes, it's just made life so easy in terms of, for me on the marketing sales and copywriting, emails, everything. Like a big thing I've learned in sales, for example, it's like if you come from a lesser status, they're probably not going to work with you. So like, I'm just checking in, or like, did this make sense? Or like these like little cues that's like, I'm beneath you is a great way for that person to like, either they're going to run all over you or they're just not going to respect you. So for example, a lot of times when I'm replying back to clients, I use Jeb Blount as an author I like. So I'll be like, hey, with or without us, in Jeb Blount's words, make sure we maintain equal status. Here's what I wrote up. Make it nice. And a lot of times they'll remove that weak language and they'll keep us at equal status. As I mentioned, expert consultative is my style for sales. And as a result, my conversion rates for sales is over 20%. So like we do a really good job. Also, owner operated sales. It should be pretty strong. But we do really well, and a lot of it came from learning. But AI makes it easier for me to be like, okay, how is this perceived? Is my status equal? So on and so forth. So it helps me, and as a result, it impacts the KPIs that matter most to me in my positions.
That's a great point. It's a great way to use it actually. Because following up is like it's a tough game, especially if you're in the sales game. Following up is a very hard game because of what you said right there, like not keeping your frame as the expert, and letting them take advantage of you. So the great point, getting AI's opinion on that, and that's what I love about it, is it gives you an amazing opinion as long as you prompt it properly and use it properly.
Yeah.
It's a great tool, and we might as well use it because it is there to be used, and I mean, it's free still, so use as much as you can, because I feel like it's not going to be free much longer, but I could be wrong.
Certainly not going anywhere, that's for sure, of course.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the way of the world, and we don't know kind of which way it's going to be going, but
yes,
it's a very exciting future as well.
it is. I can't wait to see what it holds.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, and I mean the industry's already crazy with what's going on and everything we have going. But I mean, I talk about the future there, Will. And what does the future look like for BellaVix? What's your vision? What's your mission?
Oh,
in
good
the
question.
future of BellaVix?
Honestly, we're hitting pretty good scales. Probably in the next couple years, I want to start looking into, well, we've already started, but we're looking into mergers and acquisitions. So like we're getting to a point now where it's like PR, social media, influencer marketing. I refer out that type of work all the time. And at the end of the day, like it helps brands scale. It's like it's just part of e-commerce. So, we were considering hiring somebody. We're considering building the service out. I'm a big fan of Cody Sanchez. I'm also considering just buying out a PR agency if I could work out a good deal, and then add that kind of service to what we do and kind of build BellaVix out from there. We still want to be world class, but we do want to be able to offer more touch points with our customers that are going to align with our mission, which is to help them scale on marketplaces. So if I do a social play, if I do PR, if I do anything else, it's still going to align with helping these brands scale on these different marketplaces. It's just how we're going to do that and what that team is going to look like is going to change. And that's kind of what I'm looking for as a leader of my organization, but where my head's at in the next 2 years as we're considering our next phase of this journey, being an agency owner and working in this space.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, if you look at the industry itself, if you look at social media, it hasn't turned down by any means. It's only gotten bigger. There's only more people creating personal brands. There's only more influencers coming out every single day. Oh, I mean, it's an amazing marketing tool. It's amazing industry at the same time, even though it's really specific and really niche into its own little silo, but it is a very powerful industry on its own.
Riches are in the niches, right?
Exactly. What are some of the biggest challenges you see marketing agencies having at this moment in this crazy time right now, Will?
I work with I'm in a couple user groups with general marketing agencies, and what I see their challenges is like as AI comes on board and changes the ecosystem, a lot of their customers are not seeing the value in the services they're offering, or they're using AI to supplement it. And so like a lot of like the big website creation companies or general marketing agencies that do Google ads, Facebook ads, graphic design, website design, they do a little bit of everything to everyone. I'm seeing them struggle from the outside looking in, and they're great business leaders. Some of these guys have been in the space for like 30 years. So like they know how to run an agency. They're just seeing technology come up and change the behavior of their customers. So for me, I'm seeing that, and I'm glad that I'm super niche. I'm also aware that I'm not going to be super niche forever. I look at like Google ads in the early 2000s. If you were a Google ads agency, you were pretty much printing money for yourself through these small businesses. And I understand that more business is going to be aware of what I do. They're going to enter the marketplace, and they're going to drive down my prices because they're willing to do whatever because they're hungry.
Mhm.
So my job is actually to make sure that we're positioned really strong with our ICP and we're still able to deliver growth and value at a price that works for everybody. But at the same time, as I look at these general marketing agencies, it's like it's good to niche out, but it's also better to be really good in one area and kind of build on that than it is to try to be mediocre in all the other areas.
Great point. For advice for young entrepreneurs, young marketers just getting started in the industry, what is the best piece of advice you can give them today for them taking their first step in this massive, crazy, wild industry that we kind of just spoke about for the last 35 minutes?
Find something you like to do for sure. You'll be spending a lot of time doing it. But what really helped for me before I did this was go work at an agency or go work somewhere for a year to see kind of how the sausage is made and so on and so forth and get that experience. Because to your point, when you're doing it with other people's money, it's not as impactful. So like
Hmm.
I feel like I'm really blessed because I got to work at all those agencies. I knew about SOPs. I knew about customer success. I actually sat through some terrible client calls where like I didn't know what the, I'll tell you a quick antidote, a quick
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
I had my first client as an agency and like sorry, my first e-commerce client, and we were doing Amazon. And I was brought on because I was side hustling Amazon with my wife doing the arbitrage stuff, and they're like, "Hey, we got this lead. They do Amazon. Could you take them?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll roll the dice." And then we closed this brand. This brand was huge. They were doing like my first account. They were doing like seven figures a month already. And
Wow.
the guy was an Amazon expert. So like he could smell BS from a mile away. So like I jump in on this call. I'm brand new to the team and I'm sitting with the project manager and I'm the ad manager and he's like, "Oh, hey Will, welcome. Excited to work together, this and this." And then he starts just grilling me on advertising. Luckily, PP said fundamentals like kind of apply across, but he started getting technical on Amazon. So he's like, "What's your Amazon strategy?" And like, "How do you look at like full funnel and all this other stuff?" And I had no idea. And
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. So I was like, "I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you." And the line went quiet, and I was like, "Ah, crap!" I just put my foot in my mouth, and you know, we ended up working together for a long time, and he let it go. He did not think it was funny. He was a very corporate guy. Um, but it just goes to show you, like, if that was my own agency, if I
Yeah.
actually landed that as one of my first clients, that would be amazing. But like, I was able to make those mistakes, and I was able to like get some experience and like understand what clients find important and like what matters to them, the different avatars for these clients, and who we jive with, or who I jive with versus like, who others. Some people service
Mhm.
small businesses really well. Some people service enterprise clients really well. Like there's room for everybody. So my advice to any entrepreneur is like take a year, not that big of a deal, get a little experience, and then don't be afraid to jump ship. And when I left to do my own business, I had a 2-year-old at home, and my wife just gave birth to my son. We
Wow.
both quit our jobs at the same time. We had very limited income and we had no medical benefits. Yet,
Wow.
8 years later, here we are. So there's no excuse. Start when you're ready to start. Don't let those burdens kind of bring you down. But the opportunity is there, so take it.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Will, for joining me on this conversation. It's been great.
Of
Diving
course,
through
and thanks for having me,
trends,
man.
getting some insights into what you guys are doing, into the industry itself. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks again, Corson.